Yo, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy Roy, accompanied by the one, the only, the Dominican bad man, Sergio, formerly known as the Floor Price Guy.
That's
And
right.
we're Combat Sport Guys coming back to you with another UFC full card breakdown, this time in the form of UFC 317. Ilia Topuria taking on Charles Oliveira for the vacant lightweight title. In the co-main event, we have some flyweights going at it. We have Alexandre Pantoja taking on Kai Kara France in a rematch that they had back in the day, and the Ultimate Fighter. We'll talk about that very shortly. But before we do, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, brother. I'm vibing. Always a pleasure. We got UFC 317. It's gonna
Amped,
be a
man.
banger.
Excited.
But
Yeah,
we got to talk about last week.
yeah. Last week we had UFC Baku. Jamal Hill taking on Khalil Roundtree. As always, we aim to be transparent and accountable with our picks and our bets. Wasn't the best night in terms of picking. I, for one, went 5 of 12, where my boy went 7 of 12. And our bets, wasn't the most profitable night. I think it was the worst card we had all year in terms of betting. We hit 3 bets. I think 2 of those were live. I'll share your screen right now so we can see them. And a
Yeah.
lot of interesting things in that card, like a lot of interesting decisions, a lot of interesting offenses, right, and fouls that didn't get docked or didn't get called, or situations in bouts that kind of left us all like, what the hell just happened? But there you have it. I'll go up to the picks. I'm sorry, the bets, real quick.
Yeah, all of them. All of them. I didn't do live betting for the weekend.
Yeah,
Had to take the little boy, so I wasn't really. I was locked in after the main event.
yeah,
But the thing is, like, I'll be honest with you. I went heavy on Roundtree. Roundtree was the pick.
yeah.
Um, yeah, there was just like a lot of different stuff, and like a parlays got died because of one fighter, and I think we spoke about it. There were 5 dogs that
Yeah,
that
it's interesting. Yeah.
Mullins should have gone on it, didn't get it. Dara showed that like Aline Perez is a different ball game.
Oh, she's
So
top 5, bro.
yeah, top 5,
Seven.
top 7. So it just showed you that Dara's was justified, but we didn't know that, right? Like we don't know because also
Yeah.
this was a rematch. Usman and Hobby, brother. I
Hamdi Hamdi had good success in the first round, but then what happened, man? Exactly what we said, right? He got tired. He didn't wrestle. What was going on there?
What does the UFC do, bro? The UFC send these guys like a treadmill. Like, hey, bro, here's a treadmill for Christmas. Like, maybe you could, start running. But Hamdi always does it, bro. But Usman striking, bro. I'm gonna be 100 with you, dog. Like,
Hmm.
what we doing over here? Anyways,
Tagir Ulambekov and uh, um, Maxim. What did you think of that fight? A lot of people felt like it was judged incorrectly or unfairly at 30-27. I mean,
Habibi,
couple
eh?
fence grabs.
Well, it was
Habibi.
blade and fence grab there. That
Yeah,
was blade, and it's just like, what? To what point do we start? Like, I think fence grab should have an immediate point deduction, bro. Nobody will touch that fucking fence, bro.
yeah.
Nobody will touch that fence. Alexiva versus Sagula, same thing. Alexiva was a big dog too. Sorry, big favorite too, right?
Mhm.
But bro, Elliot,
Well, before that, before Elliot, Nardiev, Nardiev hit Park with an illegal knee, thought the fight got called off, right? Went to celebrate on top of the cage, and then what happened? What happened? The fight continued, and as everyone likes to say on Twitter, he got turtled. He got turtled, man. The Iron Turtle locked in. He came back. Impressive performance, but it's kind of unfortunate, right? The fight went.
that's what happened with it was that was a knee, but I'm talking like, but Anderson Silva versus Bisping was a flying knee.
Mm-hmm.
Bisping goes down, Silva goes to the cage and celebrates, and is celebrating, and then the guy's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, it's not done yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. And then, yeah, going back to what you're saying, Elliot, a lot of people were high on Elliot, us included, were high on Elliot coming into this fight. And I think one of the messages you sent me during the fight was Elliot, and then a couple of laughing emojis and the skull emoji. What did you think of his performance, man?
I think he needs to reassess what he's doing. If he's, KO is either that good or Elliot. And you know what? Sometimes, bro, you're just not you that night. But yeah, bro, like Elliot was on the trajectory, and Elliot's one of Chael Sonnen's guys too.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would love to see how he bounces back. But yeah, shout out to KO, man.
We had Bogdan Grad against Naimov. That was a good fight. It was an interesting fight. One thing I like about Grad is just his tenacity, man, and his ability to push forward. And he was unsuccessful in securing those takedowns, right? He had him up against the fence a lot of times throughout the fight, but he was just unsuccessful in taking him down and, landing those significant strikes. But, good fight. A solid dog to have on the card. Unfortunately, he didn't get it done.
Yeah, I just like Naimov a lot, right? And like we saw what Grad did. Grad is like a dog, but as you start to kind of get a little bit higher, like these guys are a little bit different, right?
What's his second fight? I think his next fight he'll bounce back.
100%. But sometimes like that's the issue. Like back in the day, your second fight was a bump. Now,
well, yeah. Well, no, you make a good point now, but also too like where they're fighting, right? If this fight was in, I don't know, somewhere else in the States, in Vegas, right? Those clinches up against the fence probably would have meant more, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But Naimov is like top to me. He's like top. Like he should be top 15 close. They need to figure that out. Give him a shot. And then we have the fight of the night.
Fight of the year contender, bro.
That's crazy.
What a fight! Well, it's not crazy. That dude, bro. The first round, I think everybody assumed that he was gonna get knocked out, right? Like he fell to the ground, right? He turtled up, and then Malta was just fucking look. It looked like a scene out of Dragon Ball Z, right? He was just firing a flurry of shots to the body, to the head, and he he fell to his ground. But the round ended, and then the second round did it end in the second round, or was it the third round? Second round came out, man, and it's just like a bat out of hell. He started incorporating those leg kicks, incorporating the jabs, and I think Malta punched himself out, man. He got tired. That's what I think happened. Yeah,
that's a lot of energy, bro. When I got my man throwing this, he was like this. But everything was like 100%. I'm like, bro, calm down, bro. Calm down.
Well, I think they said it was like over 60 punches thrown in that combination. Bro, that's ridiculous. You try throwing 60 punches in rapid succession in place, and you're gonna be huffing, bro. Yeah.
And I'm like, what the? And my guy moving, like absorbing, moving. Because you're still absorbing it, right? It's still penetrating your guard, contact. Those gloves, bro. Those little gloves.
Well, one thing that Sadikov did really well was in the second round, he started incorporating the knees a lot in his combinations, right? So whenever Malta would, protect his face, he'd throw a knee up to the body, which would drop his hands, right? And then he'd finish up at top. So if you watch that fight back, he threw a lot of knees to the body. He had some good combinations, and he put them out, man. But great fight, solid fight. And then we had the caveman, Orobai, taking on the UFC debutante. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I expected him to win. So
it was. And then I mean, Blades close, but
first takedown in 2 years. Was it 2 years, 3 years, or how many years? First takedown.
But that's the last guy that beat that. That's the last guy. That's the last guy that got beaten by Tom Aspinall. That's the first guy to beat Tom Aspinall on the UFC.
Yeah, via doctor stoppage, he popped his knee, right? A win's a win.
A win's a win. But Blades. It looked like he was about to give that ranking number 5. The ranking number 5. We had Blades at the end, but it was Fugazi.
Yeah. Well, it was heavyweights, right? They tired out. Blades looked good in the first round. Second round, Kuniev, kind of woke up. He found his range. He's got his combinations going right. He looked good. He looked like he was going to put him out at one point, and then Blades in the third round, I think he held that up. He held him up against the cage. I don't know if he got a takedown in the third round. Did he get a takedown in the third round? He just held him against the cage.
That shit was boring as fuck.
Yeah. He threw a lot of knees to the leg, to the thighs, and the clinch, right? And they counted those as significant strikes. So he outstruck him in that round, like 30-1 or something like that. So
that's probably he won first and 3 then.
Yeah, because of the strikes to the knee within the clinch up against the fence. And then we had Rafael Fiziev defeating Ignacio Bahamondes. And then, one of the things that was interesting here is that Bahamondes elected to utilize his range, right? But he wasn't effective with it. He threw a lot of kicks, and he didn't really get his jab going. And one of the things he did was he would attempt the feint with his legs, and then Fiziev would, notice that he was feinting and then come back with the left hook. And, he touched him. He was a lot quicker to the punches. And then the wrestling, obviously, right? He got the 3 solid takedowns. And that's one thing we were concerned of, is if he does get the wrestling going, then it could be long for Bahamondes. But yeah, Fiziev won, man.
But the other issue with this is Bahamondes didn't really turn it up until the third. Once the came in, he started going after it. And it's like how much fatigue was Rafael. I knew this was an option in the table. It was always an option. They were basically even, but it just Bahamondes didn't go fully prepared. I don't. You feel me? Like I don't know. Bilal was bro. Bilal just lost.
I don't know what I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I don't know what effect the location, the time, like what effect that has. Because one thing that I would like to be better at in the future when it comes to picking these fights is seeing when they arrive to the location, right? Because when you arrive to another country or another country, another state, or wherever you're fighting, it takes time for your body to get acclimated, right? To like the time change and everything. So I want to see when they get there, how long they've been there, if they've been training there, or do they get there the day of fight, like on Tuesday, right? And then they get to the weigh-ins and stuff. So that's one thing I need to look at a little closer when these fights are in different locations.
Ilya Topuria has been in Vegas for a little bit already, adapting.
Exactly. He's been here for like 2 weeks. Yeah.
What's the time zone of Brazil? Because Charles was still in Brazil when they were filming.
Charles got to Las Vegas yesterday. I think I saw a post that he was flying. So,
but I don't think it's that far behind time. Maybe if it's 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours is fine. But if it's like this one was, it was 3 a.m. When Hill and Roundtree were fighting.
Exactly. See, exactly. And then good point. You bring up the main event, right? Khalil Roundtree Jr. up against Jamal Hill. One of the things we talked about, one of the things that I mentioned was, unlike the Alex Pereira fight, we're going to see Khalil Roundtree attack the legs of Jamal Hill, and that's exactly what he did, right? He limited his movements. He attacked his legs. He caused him to switch stance. He was unable to move forward, unable to land that counter right, and it was a really masterful performance by Roundtree. A lot of people thought the fight was boring and whatnot, but it was very, very high IQ from Roundtree.
What did Hill want, bro? Like, you know how many times Roundtree dropped Hill? Like,
I think it was 3 times in the third round or fourth round.
3 times, and then
in
also
the fourth round, yeah,
and then also like the way he kicked him, like he was already out, and at the end he's like, "Why didn't you go after me, bro? That's a you issue, my man. My man got a lot of muscle. My man trying to."
Yeah, exactly. He's fighting a lot smarter, and I think that's one thing we expected after having that experience in a championship fight when a lot of people thought he wasn't deserving of it. He looked good, man. I think at one point he threw a hammer fist and he ended it with a leg kick. It was, entertaining striking. He's always been entertaining to me, Khalil Roundtree, and I want to see where he goes from here. Give him Jiri, man. That'd be a fun fight. Him and Jiri.
I don't think. Well, yeah, that'd be a fun fight, actually.
Give him and Jiri, or I don't know what they want to do with Ober. I don't know if they want to give him a shot at the title after they run it back, or we'll see. It's a lot of stuff.
Ober's gonna have to find. Ober's gonna have to find one more time. That performance in Blonde was.
Yeah, I think Jiri. I think you do Pereira and Magomed, right, on Kalaev again, and then you do Jiri and Oberg, and then what's up?
Or step aside. Pereira goes up in weight class, faces Tom. Pereira was 240 the other day.
I don't think so. I think that's bad for Pereira because he's coming off a loss. I think he needs a victory before going up. I think he wants the rematch too. He said in interviews he wants the rematch because he wasn't at 100%. He was compromised. Yada yada yada, all this stuff, right?
You better pull up. Next time. The fans, they'll turn on you, bro.
And then Jamal Hill, 3 fights now in a row. Lost to Jiri, lost to Pereira. Lost to Roundtree. I think next
he can't drop weight. Hey, my boy can't drop. My boy can get on the.
Yeah, I don't know why you're suggesting he goes to middleweight. That's a big boy, bro. He'll never.
Not
lightweight. Middleweight.
Trim up, build a little bit more muscle.
Yeah, it's just hire a dietitian. Just change up your game plan, man. But also too, he suffered a lot of leg injuries. Like when you have a torn ACL and you have foot surgery and you have all these knee injuries, like your movement, however you want to paint it, it's not going to be the same. That's why we criticize him so much in terms of his footwork.
But the worst injury that anybody can sustain is the Achilles. That shit, when that pops, I don't care how much surgery you do, you're not going to be the same. And
you could see it. Compare his 3 fights to the Glover Teixeira fight. You could see it. He was a lot faster, and his footwork was still bad in the Teixeira fight, in my opinion, but he was a lot faster.
He was explosive. He was very explosive.
More explosive, exactly. And a lot of it has to do with confidence too, right?
But how much of that is the boys?
Mm-hmm.
The boys, they're old now. You feel me?
Yeah, but I would like to see Jamal Hill maybe take on somebody like a Dominic Reyes.
We talked about this on the stage. I wouldn't.
You wouldn't do it? That'd be good for Reyes.
It'd be good for Reyes. It gets him on the top. What's Reyes right now? Reyes top 9, top 8.
Yeah, he's up there. I think he's in the top 10.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Yeah. And we'll talk about Johnny later, but
Yeah, we'll
another
talk
guy that
about.
blames Johns, bro. Like, bro, you got knocked out by Span, by
We'll talk about it real quick before we get into this full card breakdown. Guys, there is going to be timestamps below if you want to fast forward through the recap. We're going to dissect every fight on UFC 317. And then we're also going to talk very briefly on John Jones retiring. One thing that I felt that was very weird, Sergio, and let me know what you think, is the way it was conveyed to the public. Dana White was asked about the Tom Aspinall situation. John Jones. I think a female reporter asked him, "Hey, you had mentioned the other day that you're going to give John Jones 2 weeks to give you an answer whether he's going to drop the belt, vacate, retire, or fight Tom Aspinall. Is there any update on that?" And Dana White, very nonchalant, said, "Oh, John Jones retired. He called last night. He's done." So do you think there's more behind the scenes? Is there stuff that we're not being privy to? What's going on there, man? It felt a little weird because somebody of John Jones' caliber, who Dana White has gone fucking for the past a year saying he's the GOAT, he's the number one pound for pound fight. He was glazing John Jones, bro, to the point where it's like, yo, my boy, you were saying this about John Jones before. Where's that energy? Where did that energy go? You trying to sell us a fight? What's going on? But for him to talk about him highly in that regard, and then just to nonchalantly say, "Yeah, he retired. He called me yesterday."
Bro, we know what it is.
I just feel like it should have been handled a little better. But anyways, go ahead,
Look at
brother.
that muted account, brother. Look at those accounts. Those accounts are muted. We got a bunch of those muted accounts. I'll say this, bro. Like, the greatest of all time can't make money for the UFC anymore. Let's be honest, bro. When my man said, "Hey, we can't,"
He can't make money for the UFC. He can make money for the UFC.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is, like, now that he's retired, Dana's not really going to glaze him up anymore. Dana's not going to beg, especially with John Jones. With Habib is different, but John Jones,
Johnny Meat,
bro.
Did you see that somebody took his retirement speech and put it in Chat GPT and said that it was 100% Chat GPT, and then they said that none of his words are genuine, man. He's never been genuine.
This is
let the GOAT retire, man. Let the GOAT retire, man. What are we doing?
Retire, bro. Like, you called it. My man was drinking, having a couple drinks last night, listening to Mexican songs.
Corridos. Yeah, he was listening to corridos, bro. I was at work, and then I looked at Twitter and I see him. It said like 2 minutes ago, John Jones posted that Mexican, what's that song? Don't Cry, Don't Cry. And I commented on it on the account. I put, "What are you sipping on, bro? What's going on?" And then the next day, Dana White says he called me last night and retired. I put 2 and 2 together and I said, my boy was probably drinking last night, listening to corridos, listening to sad Mexican music, and said, "You know what? It's time to hang him up." And listen, It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but who do you blame here? Do you blame John? Do you blame the UFC? Or who's to blame?
UFC. Like, what is it about these guys getting a deal done, not signing a contract, not signing a location? Because here's the thing about it. They both came to the table. Tom is the bitch in the B side. I shouldn't call it B. She's the B side. John is the A side. So when you have both fighters agreeing, what is it that we can't get a contract signed with a date?
Yeah.
Oh, John. The whole thing was like, well, John has. Dana mentioned that John and Silva, when they were in the top, they're very difficult to deal with. I understand you got to go, hey, John, let's meet up, let's talk. It's not like Aljamain Sterling that they got to press him, right? This is very different. So my question is, when John agreed to a fight, agrees to the millions of dollars, why aren't we setting up that meeting, send Hunter Campbell, glaze him up, but sign the contract, and then it's signed. If there's a signed date, that's the issue with here. What happened?
But then you can argue that John Jones asked for the money, thinking that they weren't going to meet the money, so he could use that as an out. And then once they gave him the money, he still said, "I'm out. I don't want to do it." So, I mean, what do you say then?
But Dana guaranteed it was 100% agreed upon. So why wasn't there nothing signed?
Verbally, yeah, there has to be something signed. But at the end of the day, like, going back to 2023, right, when John Jones couldn't fight in November, I forget the card, what UFC card it was. It was, do you remember the number? UFC?
Yeah, I went 297. I went to that one.
It was 297, right? Where John Jones couldn't fight, right? So they slotted in on short notice Tom Aspinall for the interim heavyweight title. So that's where it kind of started from, right?
But that's the reason why the UFC is in hot water. That fight was never supposed to happen. Like, if
Exactly.
anything, the backup fighter was Blachowicz. But
Yeah.
then Sir Tom was like number 4, number 5, have beaten Volkov. And then you got a situation where John's injured, but the UFC needs a co-main event because Alex Pereira, like you can't leave Alex alone to headline at that time.
At that
right?
time, yeah.
And then he wins, and then it becomes an issue because John has stipulated it was Stipe, so the fans get angry. But the thing is, John already had agreed with the UFC he was fighting Stipe. Like, it's difficult. Like, and that's the thing about it. He's going after Stipe, and I think that's the issue. Now, like, bro, I just think it's like Mayweather, bro. Like, Mayweather would have done the same thing, bro. A complicated motherfucker that would have. I know I'm saying sticking up my ass here, but it's just like John's complicated. When you're like, look at this record, bro. When you're that, and MFers, bro, will say PEDs, they'll say cocaine, bro. Champion.
That Gustafsson fight, man.
Champion.
That Gustafsson fight.
Champion. Shit talk. Yeah, but he still won, bro. He's still
champion.
And the amount of people, but he didn't fight Gus before then. No, he didn't, because fucking Rumble Johnson knocked the shit out of Gustafsson, and then John got tested positive, and then like, it's crazy. It was like, bro only fought a year, and I'm like, yeah, because he cleared that fucking division out. So look what he did with Ryan Bader, bro. Ryan Bader, right?
Dude. Speaking of Rumble, Rampage Jackson. I saw a clip of him talking about his fight with John Jones. He's like, man, when that fight started, that motherfucker came out. I didn't know what he was doing, because you know how he came out to the spider crawl? Because he's like, I didn't know what he was doing. Like, what the fuck this motherfucker doing? I didn't know how to read him. And, John Jones admittedly said that, Rampage Jackson was one of the few people that, I think he was the only person that gave him nightmares. Like, he was scared. He was like physically scared to fight him, because he's scared of the power, man.
But you know what it was back then is that Muscle Farm gave Rampage a Ferrari or Lamborghini, like green, and there was like
what?
A Lamborghini. I'm Dominican. Be nice to me.
No. Lamborghini. All right, there we go.
Lamborghini. Lamborghini's the American, the
My
butcher.
boy is Lamborghini. That's the Tango version.
The Arkansas, the Bryce Mitchell. That's Lamborghini. But Lamborghini. And they had him training at this high level facility, bro. So before the PI, bro. So John was in the man. It's like, fuck. So John was sending what do you call it, bro? People, bro, go spy on Rampage. That was a whole fucking thing, bro. But yeah, bro, like, shout out to the GOAT. Got it done, bro. I think, you add Belfort down, that's first generation fighters, right? You add Gustafsson, Teixeira, OSP, DC again, and Gustafsson, that's second generation fighters. And then he went after Smith, Santos, which is the third generation fighter. So impressive, brother. Nobody's been able to do that. And
yeah, and then antics outside of the octagon left aside, right? A lot of people try to incorporate that to criticize his resume with what he's done in the octagon, right? And they try to diminish his successes. And yeah, he's failed a couple of PEDs, right? A couple of drug tests. I mean, two drug tests in his career?
Yeah, but it was the picogram.
The picogram, and then the cocaine, right?
After DC, but then it becomes interesting because they let him fight. He fought Gustafsson, and he had something in his picograms.
Yeah.
And it's similar to Joel Romero. Joel Romero got popped, but Joel ended up suing the pharmaceutical company.
Yeah, of course.
Getting his name cleared. So it's kind of the same thing. It's crazy. Who's the UFC fighter? Who's the UFC fighter that has, I think it's John Joe, that has main evented more pay-per-views. Well, we got to ask AI, bro. What's going on here? But I'll look that up. But just summarizing it, bro. Goated, baby.
Yeah. Listen, arguably the top three. I think GSP's number one. And then you have John Jones right there. Close number two. Maybe behind Anderson Silva. Who knows? Maybe you have GSP number 1, Anderson Silva number 2, and then John Jones number 3. I'm trying to get a reaction out of you. Okay, it's not working. I see your face, but you're not reacting.
So Randy Couture main evented 18 pay-per-views. Randy Couture
is he won the title. He win the title like at 45 or something like that.
Yeah, bro. But that heavyweight division, bro, was grim, bro. Like, it was grim.
Listen, Randy Couture's a bad man. He came out in the Expendables, brother. What are we doing?
Yeah, bro. I fought James Toney. That's for sure. Got knocked out. Lost a tooth against Lyoto Machida in Toronto, bro.
Lyoto Machida, man.
What was I gonna say? Jones 17 and Silva 16.
There you go.
So John was 1 away from like John made a lot of money, bro.
Yeah. All right. Let's there you have it, guys. There is our recap. 25 minutes in. This is probably gonna be a long video. There is timestamps. I know nobody's gonna watch this fully through. We do have timestamps at the bottom. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, follow us.
So you know.
What happened?
Make sure you kind of put it out so you don't got to go back and forth. But I'll say this, bro. You know, people talk about how the UFC doesn't pay their fighters, but maybe if John got shit pay, maybe John would have had to fight Tom Aspinall, right? Because then you're dependent on a paycheck.
But then again, if they the payment structure is an argument that a lot of people make, but also too, it's a lot of these fighters, aside from, you know, wanting to get out of, you know, poverty and, you know, the situations, a lot of it is competitiveness, right? People want to compete with the best and amongst the best. And I think John Jones's main argument for not or refusing to fight Tom Aspinall is, what do I get out of it? What competitiveness is there, right? Aside from him being the interim champ, right? And then us settling that score, who has he fought? What does that do for my legacy, right? Like, I have more to risk and he has more to gain. It's you know what I mean? Like, what does John gain from that?
That's true. And that's the fact.
And I think it comes down to like competitiveness and like, okay, it's just an interesting thing all around. And I hope that, you know, there's a lot of new fans. And one thing you mentioned is like John Jones fought 3 generations of fighters. There's a lot of new fans that don't know the John Jones and, you know, the John Jones that beat Rampage Jackson, the John Jones that beat Lyoto Machida, that had him there lifeless, right? The John Jones that beat Vitor Belfort, Chael Sonnen, right? They don't know that John Jones, the Gustafsson fight where he came in and said, oh, I didn't train that weekend, right? I didn't train at all. And he took him to a decision, right? And then he beat him in the second fight. He beat Can we
talk about how when John Jones fought, he fought at UFC 80 something, I think, or
70 Exactly. Yeah. So it's just a lot of new fans, especially on X. There's a lot of toxicity, there's a lot of toxicity, and a lot of people don't know his. It's like NBA Twitter. If you ever go on NBA Twitter, like when people argue about the GOATs, there's kids who are born during Kobe's prime that didn't grow up watching Kobe, right? They grew up watching Steph Curry, so that's who they equate to being the best.
Similar with Jordan, right?
Similar with Jordan, right? Like our age, like we're at the age where I'm at the age where I was at the tail end of Jordan's career, but I got to see Kobe, right? Yeah. So for me, Kobe is like, he's the guy, but Jordan, you know, he's the GOAT of all time.
Coast man, you West Coast individual too, but he was Jordan.
Like, for you, his mindset. No, it's Jordan. It's 100% Jordan.
100%. But I got, bro, after Jordan retired, I'm like, bro, you know what? Fuck this NBA shit.
Yeah. But that's to show you like the fans, and where like a lot of fans don't educate themselves on the history of the sport and whatnot and what people have done, right? They kind of come in new, and you know, there's a lot of toxicity. Like a lot of people don't know Daniel Cormier was a killer, bro. They see him on the talk show, they see him on the weigh-in shows being goofy, but they don't know like how much of a bad man he was, man.
He was a bad man, and he would have been champion sooner if Cain Velasquez wasn't. The reason why DC
he refused. Yeah, he refused to fight him, right?
Cain Velasquez, right? So it becomes a question of like, how good would have been this? Because that's the thing about it. He was saying Cain was also an animal, but you know,
cardio Cain, man.
Cardio Cain, Rob, and all these boys, but shout out to the GOAT. You know, and you know, there's some scandal now, and now the allegation, like, we're not going to talk about the drama. We're only talking about the fighter. You know, shout out to John Jones. But anyways, let's kick it in with UFC 317, Topuria versus Ferreira. The first, let me do the first card.
Topuria versus who? Topuria versus who?
I said Ferreira. Oliveira.
Ferreira. Take two. Go ahead.
Okay, take 2. UFC 317, Topuria versus Oliveira. Now, you're going to have to play it like that.
Okay.
we got, starting with the early prelims, Nico Price versus
Nico Price.
Jacoby Smith.
There we go, baby. Let's break this down. We got Nico Price at 16-8-0 and 2-5 in their last 5, last losing to Themba Gorimbo via unanimous decision. Smith is 10-0, undefeated, last beating Preston Parsons via KO. Now, when you look at these two fighters, Smith is the heavy favorite. I think he's at a minus 1400 right now, or maybe higher, minus 1600. That's, that's scary, but I think he can get it done here. He has great wrestling. He has solid entries. He has power behind his hands. We've seen him knock out his opponents. His striking technique isn't the best, but he does have the speed to equate with that power. He's still green and he's still learning, but his grappling is his bread and butter. Going up against Price, who is getting up there in age. I think he's 38 years old now? He's 35 years old.
Yeah,
look at his record, right? Like, he beat Alex Morono, which was, in the unanimous decision, a good fight, but he lost to, Robert Lawler via KO. He lost to Phil Rowe via KO. He lost, and he beat Alex Oliveira in 2021. He likes to throw. He likes to push forward. He likes to manage the pace and engage in scraps. His chin has been tested, as we mentioned, quite a bit in the past. And I think here Smith is going to have some success on the feet and on the ground. I think he gets it done. Smith's going to be the pick. He should be able to get him down, have some solid takedowns, maybe finish him via ground and pound. But I got Smith here. I'm confident in Smith.
That's good. Look, let's be honest with you. I have Smith. I don't like the decay of Nico Price. Nico Price has been fighting for a while. His wins are good. Shout out to him. Look, he knocked the shit out of Phil Rowe. Hey, Phil Rowe just manhandled my boy in the third round. We saw him 2 weeks ago, two weekends ago. Yeah. Phil Rowe. I'll say this, bro. Like, it's hard because Nico has looked like he's aging. He looks slower. He's coming against a very explosive guy. By the way, like, the odds are minus 1800 now. So listen, I'm gonna go to Smith. I'm not betting a single dime. Maybe, if you're a bettor, you look at the over. Like, is this worth going past over 1.5 or under 1.5? I think that is the bet here. Over or under. Yeah.
And for the people betting too, what we learn in the past time and time again, when you have an undefeated fighter, when you have somebody who's a huge favorite, please, for the love of God, don't slap them on every parlay. It's not going to increase the odds. It's not going to make the odds better. And if it doesn't pan out how you think it's going to pan out, it's going to blow all your parlays. So, good example is Peyton Talbott. We have him on this card, right? He was the big favorite at UFC 311. A lot of people slapped him on I didn't slap him on a lot of parlays. I had him on a parlay, but a lot of people slapped him on a lot of parlays, and they all lost because of him, right? It was the final leg, and he got out wrestled. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, we're both going with Jacoby Smith to get it done here. He is the shorter fighter who is giving up some reach, but I'm confident that he can close the distance, get some takedowns, and be successful here. So Smith is the pick. We'll move on here to some heavyweights. Your boy Jonathan Diniz back in action, taking on Alvin Hines, who's coming in on short notice. Jonathan Diniz was originally supposed to take on one of the Tafa brothers. They pulled out of their fight. Diniz is 8-1-0 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Marcin Tybura via KO doctor stoppage, where he was winning that fight, right? And the mistake he made was he dropped. I don't know if he dropped Marcin Tybura. I don't remember if he took him to the ground and he followed him to the ground, and he ended up getting, he lost top control and he got beat right on the top, right, by Marcin Tybura, and vicious elbows. Doctor elected to stop the fight. Hines is 7-0, making his UFC debut. He's 5-5 last, beating Billy Ray Valdez via KO. Diniz, as we mentioned, he was supposed to fight one of the Tafa brothers. He's a good kickboxer. He has good size, good speed. He does struggle on the ground. He has okay takedown defense, but if he's unable to defend the takedown and is taken down, he's pretty helpless. We saw that against Marcin Tybura, as I mentioned, but he does have good hands, man. He was able to touch up Marcin Tybura, and I think one of the things that you said in our last recap after the Marcin Tybura fight was, once Marcin Tybura felt that power and felt that speed, he said, "Yo, we're not doing this anymore." He got him up against the fence and he elected to grapple. But I think he's gonna look good here, man. He's had the full camp. He's fighting somebody who's on short notice, who isn't as a polished striker as he is, Alvin Hines, right? He's undefeated. A lot of people are gonna see that 7-0 and they're gonna play some chalk on him. He's gonna throw some 1-2s. He kind of throws wildly, right? He's a little green. He isn't the better fighter, and I think Justin Diniz has fought tougher opposition. I'm gonna go with Diniz, man. Better striker, should be able to defend Alvin's takedown attempts if he tries to shoot for takedowns. I think Diniz gets it done.
I'm trying to get the bet isn't live yet. I'm trying to kind of see what are the odds right now.
Yeah,
It is not here, and this is due to who was supposed to find this guy originally.
One of the Tafa brothers. Let me get the exact Tafa brother.
Oh, no, here it is. Yeah, you're right. Justin Tafa.
Justin Tafa, yeah.
That's Baby Tafa. It's Baby Tafa.
That's the one that got Baby Tafa.
Yeah, I mean, Baby Tafa needs to go to light heavyweight. Let's be honest here, bro.
That's the one that got KO'd by Taliesin.
Respectfully, of course, respectful.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be respectful here. Looking at this fight, here's the thing about it. I'm bullish on Waldo. This is one of Waldo's training partners. I'm trying to kind of analyze how he could get it done. Maybe it's the wrestling. Like, I need to do a little bit more film watching. So I'm gonna keep this one like.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean get it done? What do you mean wrestling?
The Hines wrestle the shit out of fucking Diniz because
you're saying that Hines is the training partner of Cortez?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Waldo's vouches for Hines. And he's one of the main training partners for Waldo. So my question is,
like, you're being loyal. You're being loyal to Waldo, huh?
Hey, I like Waldo's my guy. People don't realize it. Waldo made. There was
we had Waldo on the channel too, guys. Make sure you check that out.
Yeah, you could put it on the top. That's a little bit too much work, but it's the main training partner of Alvin Hines. Is he gonna wrestle? That's why because if he comes wrestling, Diniz is gonna have an issue, and we've seen it time and time again. Diniz has a little bit of an issue with wrestlers. Topuria had a good round. I told you, don't worry, my boy, because once Topuria takes you down, it's GG's. So does Hines implement a new level of challenge for Diniz? So for right now, I'm gonna just don't mark it. I'll mark it later. I'll make my pick later because I just want to study his first couple fights and just to kind of see.
What do you mean? Are you telling me you're not prepared, man? Are you telling me that you came here, you're not prepared, brother?
I'm a little bit on the fence. I'm fucking with you. I'm messing with you. I also want to see the odds. The odds, because if I'm a betting man, Diniz is probably a 280 favorite right now.
This is my thought process, right? I think heavyweight coming in on short notice, the bet to make here is the under 2.5 to see if that's at a positive or if it's more juice than the money line, right? Because I might look at that as a prop and drop it into a parlay that I might like with another confident pick. But I think, and I understand where you're coming from, right? He does have the grappling component, but one thing about Hines is his entry points aren't the best, right? He'll throw a predictable 1-2 and then try to go for the double leg. So we'll see though. We'll see what you think once you have
and I just want to do a little bit more digging because the only thing I have seen this fight, but the only thing I don't know what's his primary discipline. Like, it's just because if it's a wrestler, I'm gonna go with Hines. Like, Diniz has struggled with wrestlers, even with that one loss. Like, let's be honest, bro. Like, it's very different. It's very, very. But again, Tybura is top.
Tybura was a unique because look at the Carl Williams fight. Right? Look at the win on the Carl Williams. Was that a unanimous decision or was that a KO? I forget.
Williams was unanimous decision.
He beat him via unanimous decision, and Carl Williams has really good wrestling, really good grappling, and he was able to stuff some takedowns there and beat him on the feet. So I don't think he's completely bad when it comes to his takedown defense. It's once he gets to the ground is where, and that's the issue he made. That's the fault that he had up against Marcin Tybura, right? Like he willingly went to the ground and it ended up working against him because he was winning that fight. But it is what it is, man.
Yeah. The reach has been a little bit sus. But again, if my boy comes in wrestling, it's a different and like everything is. Well, how many? He only has one decision, right? Round 3, round 1. But what are these? Yeah, fighters 4-1, 2-0, 3-4. That's the thing about it. Like 1-3. There's a lot of. Yeah,
I'm not thinking about it. I'm going with Diniz, brother. We're gonna move on here. We'll find out who you're gonna pick later on in the week. We will drop our picks.
I'm putting money. I like putting money on Hines. But anyway,
he's doubling down on Hines. That's what I want.
I'm picking Hines. Fuck, wait. I'm picking Hines right now, brother. Fuck that. That's what I'm picking.
That's what I wanted. I knew me cutting you off was gonna get your ego to be like, fuck that, I'm picking
Fuck
Hines.
yeah, I'm going Hines, baby. Let's go with Hines.
Hey, I know you too well, Sergio. I knew.
Go with Hines, bro. Because tipping it's tipping.
Yeah, no, I knew me doing that was gonna make you choose him. Next up, we have Cedricus Dumas taking on Jackson McVey. Now, Dumas is 10-3-0 and is 3-5 last, losing to Michael Oleg. I can never say this. Oleg Zaychuk via KO. McVey is 6-0 and is 5-5 last, beating Mateo Garner via KO. This is his UFC debut. Now, we did see Cedric Dumas get KO'd. How many months ago was that? That was what? That was on the
2
that was
months.
on the Alex Pereira card, right? Was that UFC 314?
Yeah, it was 2 months ago. That was
yeah. So
that was 2 months ago.
Yeah, so we see him take that left hook to the ground and pound strikes, get knocked out, and then since then he's had some legal troubles, right? He's been in trouble with the law. I see a lot of posts regarding him and his trouble with law enforcement. My man was hiding in a dog crate or something like that. I read a report where he was hiding out in a dog crate trying to evade capture. I don't know what's going on with this dude. I'm surprised that he's even on this card. Dumas he's okay everywhere. He's well-rounded. He's not the best. He did get beat last time out. He has some decent pop and behind his strikes and okay grappling. He's going up against McVey, who's 6'4". He has the length and utilizes it well. He likes to maintain his distance with his jab and his teep kicks. This is his UFC debut, so he hasn't been tested, so we don't know how well he's going to do up against UFC level opposition. How is he going to perform under the bright lights? But I think he can get it done here. I think he can grapple, get busy, and I think Dumas, man, this is a quick turnaround for him. And one of the reasons that we talked about off air is like, why is he fighting? Is he having all these legal troubles that he needs, some money to, pay these fees, these lower fees? What's going on, right? That's just a speculative thought that I had. But I think a quick turnaround from getting knocked out, right? I think what's the protocol? 6 months?
Yeah, but we could also say that about Van. So it becomes a thing of like maybe he cleared.
Well, Van didn't get knocked out last time. He just has a quick turnaround.
He had but remember when we had UFC Sphere, and
yes, and that was we went back and forth because you were like concerned about him, taking that fight short notice, and then it was under 6 months, right? It was like what, 3 months out, 4 months out.
It was 2 months. Actually.
It was 2 months out, right? But
that's why I'm just like, I was like, God damn, like
yeah. But
maybe it's one of these. But the one thing I'll say about Dumas, people are saying guy's coming a little bit more cutter. Bro, that's 2 months. Like, he was already in a camp. You feel me? 2 months. How long has he known about this? Maybe a month. When did he, I would love to know when this fight was made, because out of camp, knocked out, gets cleared, takes the fight in a month. He was already in a camp. You're going against an undefeated.
He was already in shape. You're trying to say he was already in shape, right?
Yeah, so I think that's why he's just a little bit more cutter, right? Because he looks jacked. The guy looks very lean.
I'm not listening to that argument anymore, man. And that's not towards you. That's like, because remember when Michael Chandler was facing Oliveira, everyone was like, oh, he looks ripped. He looks jacked. He's going to kill Oliveira, man. He's been out. Yeah. Or Jamal. Even I was glazing Jamal Hill last week. I was like, bro, he looks a little slimmer, bro. He might be quicker, bro. So I'm no longer like feeding into that. He looks great. His physique. These guys are athletes, bro. It's how they fight, right?
Exactly. So you got to, again, McVey. So here's the beauty about this, right? And this is why I like to compare fights. When this fight was announced, the odds had Dumas at a -150 and McVey. Is it McVey?
McVey.
McVey. Oh my God, Spanish guy over here. McVey. Odds have turned now and have McVey at a -147.
Yeah, I mean, they are shifting, and I'm probably not going to bet on this fight because it's just a gamble, but I do think McVey can get it done here, man. I'm not going to add this to any parlays or do. Maybe I'll look at some of the props to see if there's something I like, and I'll look more into the stats and see what I put out there. But I'm not going to, as of right now, I'm not betting on this fight.
Yeah, I'm going to go with McVey. I'll be honest with you, McVey money line. I think it's a good line. That's probably good. Like, what I'm trying to do now, champ, I'm trying to kind of put my bets that I think off because, and then we got to go back and fucking research. Like, I already done the research.
If you got him I regret not getting him as a dog. I should have put money on him when he was a dog. I would be more confident if he was a dog, but him moving to the favorite kind of has me a little bit concerned. Like, you get me? But we'll see.
Well, we're gonna have to assess because, If Mike Dumas comes in and knocks his fucking guy out, what's the point of a 2 months KO? You feel me? So it's like
Yeah.
he beats the Vance allegations and all this different shit. So, but we'll see. I mean, look, these guys are matched up precisely. McVey, though, I feel has a little bit more of a submission game. I feel like he's gonna, try to kick. He has.
Mm-hmm.
I think McVey's a more versatile fighter here, kicking, grappling, knockout power. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
McVey is the pick.
Right. We're both going with McVey here. So far, we are on opposing ends on one fight. We'll move on here to some lightweight action. We have Terrence.
Yeah, bro. Respect Hines, brother.
Respect Hines, bro. Listen, I like Hines ketchup. I like Hines products.
Hey,
Hines the fighter, I don't know. I don't know.
We'll see.
We have Terrence T-Rex McKinney taking on Vyacheslav Borshchev. McKinney is 16-7-0 and is 3-5, last beating Damir Hadzovic via KO. Borshchev, Slava Claus, people like to call him, is 8-5-1, last losing to Tom Nolan via unanimous decision. McKinney is good everywhere, right? He has solid striking, he has good wrestling, good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His main issue and a lot of criticisms that people have on him is that he's inconsistent and he has been cracked and knocked out in the past, right? People have tested his chin. Esteban Ribovic, right? Drew Dober, Sam Woodson, etc., etc. His fights always finish with inside the distance. Like, I don't think he's ever gone to a decision. Look at his whole 23 fight career. None of them have gone to a decision. It's either ended in a submission, a KO, either from him or to him. So that's one thing to consider here. If you look at Borshchev, he's a solid kickboxer. He has great technique. He has speed and power with his kicks and jab. He has, however, struggled with being taken down in the past. So a lot of his losses come from primarily wrestlers, right? Like, if you can get Borshchev to the ground, right? If you have decent enough striking to bang with him and then take him down to the ground, you're always going to win that fight or win that decision. Now, McKinney, he finishes his fights early, but if you look at his last 5, who has he really fought, right? That's like he's fighting a striker, and Borshchev he's a good kickboxer. He was the alpha male coach at one point, right? If you look at him, if you look at Terrence McKinney's last 5 fights, I mean, really dissect who he's fought and look at all their records. They're not that good, brother. They're not that good. And he's finishing them and he's losing to 2 of them. So do you think McKinney gets it done early? Do you think he takes him down and gets a beating on him, gets a submission? Or do you think as this fight progresses, Borshchev takes the lead, goes away with it? I don't know, man. I'm gonna bank on McKinney here. I think he's gonna come out explosive. I think he can get it done, but I do have that little concern. But I think McKinney should be good here.
McKinney takes it, man. Like,
yeah.
When Tom Nolan fought Borshchev, you had obviously Borshchev. There's nothing wrong with having Borshchev.
It was a good fight.
It's a good fight. But one of the things is Tom Nolan had a reach, and was a little bit more involved, striking, grappling, takedowns. I feel that Borshchev, Tom Nolan is tall though. Let's get that right. McKinney has the reach, but Borshchev has the height advantage. In this fight, Tom Nolan was the taller fighter. But I think he's like 6'1". I think McKinney gets it done, man. McKinney goes out there, gets it done. I mean, this guy has a lot of power. I don't think Borshchev is him. I think that's why. Like, if you look at the guys that McKinney has lost to, Sadikov, right? Like, we've seen what Sadikov has done now. Rigovics, like,
Rigovic, bad man.
We're talking about bad men. I don't think if you put him against his 2 losses, I think he loses as well. Respectfully, of course, right? And not every MMA math adds up, but I just don't think that Borshchev has the striking or the grappling. My concern with McKinney is if this goes past the first round, which McKinney is probably not going to go past, he's going to be tired. And I think Borshchev has him at. So maybe a good bet if you're trying to be a degen, getting
McKinney
him up
inside the distance. I'm sorry.
Yep.
What else?
Yep. That's what it is. Exactly. So if we put money on that, the under, bro, it's insane. The under is minus 220. That's not Borshchev, bro. That is McKinney. So you might as well put money on a money line on McKinney.
Yeah. Interesting, right? Interesting.
It's very interesting because you're basically gambling is if McKinney cannot take this man out in the first,
Mm-hmm.
what happens in the second?
So we're both picking Terrence McKinney to get it done against Vyacheslav Borshchev. We'll move on here to a women's bout. We have Vivian. I'll let you get we have Vivian Araujo taking on Tracy Cortez. Araujo is 13-6-0 and is 2-5, last beating Karine Silva via unanimous decision. Cortez is 11-2-0 and is 4-5, last losing to Rose Namajunas via unanimous decision, where her eyelash flew out in the middle of the fight. Right? I think it was the first time someone's eyelash flew out. I think I was getting messages from people saying, "Hey, was that an eyelash? Did you see that eyelash, brother?" So, what do you have here, man? Let me hear your side first.
What's going on with this fight? JJ, Juicy J, taking a loss, eh? What happened here? My girl was complaining she wasn't in the UFC video game. I don't know, brother. Listen, we need more. I was with a client today, and he was talking about how he got into women's basketball now, and it's because of Clark. Is it Clark? What's that?
Caitlin Clark, yeah.
Yeah, Clark. And then what's the teammate that punched the other girl in the face?
I don't know the teams, brother, but I know what you're talking about. I seen
that.
Well,
the girl, but the teammates. Yeah. But anyways, we need a little bit more excitement. You want to be in the game, you got shit talk a little bit more, bro. Call Cheo. Say, hey, listen, Uncle Cheo. Listen, could you script me a couple things to say about these girls? Make it more my style. We need a little bit more shit talk if you want to be in the game. Now let's go back to this fight. Sorry about that.
I was lost for a second. What was my boy talking about?
No, it's just the Juicy J. No, the Juicy J stuff. She came out. Was like, I want to be in the video.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What is it gonna take?
Juicy J. It's my girl, man.
Yeah, let me check the odds right now. They're sitting at a plus 205. Tracy Cortez at a minus 245. Tracy Cortez, known as, my guy Ortega's ex-girl. Is this the Viviana that was chill? No, not Kobe and Pereira. This is another Viviana.
You're thinking of Paul Viviana, brother.
Yeah. Okay. So I was right about it. Was a V. I was right. I don't think she's a minus 230, bro. I'll be honest with you. I like Viviana. I think Viviana has tested better competition prior to Tracy fighting Rose. I think that's what it is. Rose has been her toughest challenge. You might look at the Juicy J, but that is not the Juicy J we're getting now. It's a more dominant Juicy J. I'm gonna go with the dog. I know she's 38.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I'm going with Viviana. I think I think she got Karine Silva is not bad. I think that's my issue.
She's not good.
Be nice. But Justin Keesh. If you know Justin Keesh was she took a shit on the octagon, like shit was dripping on the pants. If you know Justin Keesh, that was a crazy fight. I don't know, man. I just look at this fight and I say, okay, can Cortez beat Grasso? Can Cortez beat Ribas? Can Cortez beat Silva? I say no. So it falls under.
That's MMA, Matt. Though you can't fucking.
Yeah,
use
and I know.
Yeah,
I think
that's the same thing people were saying. Oh, Hill lost to Jiri. He lost to Alex. Oh, I don't think Khalil Roundtree can beat Jiri. I think he'll takes it. Get out of here, really.
It's the same, but when you kind of, it's just justifying my pick. I'm gonna go with Viviana. I know it's gonna be a tough hill to climb, and
I do agree with you that these odds should be a lot closer. Araujo Viviana is a primarily a grappler, right? Like I was looking at some stats over the weekend, and she primarily averages around 1.8 to 2 takedowns a fight, and she has good takedown defense at 80%. Her boxing is okay. I think she's a better striker than Cortez, but her striking defense is weak. Like she gets hit a lot, right? Like if you look at her striking differential, she gets hit a lot more than she throws. That's always a concern. She does fade in fights. She does get tired, and she's getting older, right? 38 years old. Your cardio tends to wither away. Look at Aldo, how he looked in his last fight, right? Like he started off hot, and then what happened in that third round? He was looking at the clock, hoping for a prayer. Like, listen, brother, just ring the bell. But Cortez, on the other end, you look at some of her stats. She averages 2 takedowns a fight. She has good wrestling, good Brazilian jiu-jitsu, coupled with decent control. I think in her last fight, I looked at the stats against Rose Namajunas. She was outstruck 58-96, right? Significant strikes. She was almost doubled outstruck by Rose and outworked. She lost that fight. She got outclassed. She got outworked, out techniqued. But I think here we will see her utilize her strike more and build her strikes more to build confidence and utilize that for takedowns up against Araujo's weak striking defense, right? Like I think we're gonna have more success of her landing shots, getting in the rhythm, and then shooting for takedowns. And maybe she finds success, maybe she doesn't. Maybe Araujo defends some early on when she's fresh, but then she can't be defending the whole fight, right? So I think Cortez can get it done here. She should get busy on the fight, and the key is for takedowns later in the rounds. Finish the round strong. I think Cortez gets it done here. I think that Rose fight, it's gonna build off of confidence, man. I think she just got out techniqued by Rose.
Yeah, and Rose is Rose, but like I said, I would like Rose to go to strawweight again, and
yeah,
I don't like.
But I agree with you. I think these odds should be closer. I don't
should
think
be a little bit closer. Like you're betting on youth. You're betting on Cortez overwhelming her. The grappling goes to Araujo. So what we're really saying is maybe Araujo gets tired, so we're betting on that.
Yeah, I think they both have good enough takedown defense and grappling. Yes, I do think that we're banking on the fact that maybe Araujo gets tired later on, and then that's when Cortez can kind of utilize her youth, right, and her cardio too. It's 3 rounds. It's not a 5-round fight, right? I think she'll be more energetic.
The under 2.5 is a plus 425. So
damn, they're banking someone gets finished, huh?
No, minus.
Oh, you said minus. I said plus.
Plus 425.
Yeah. So the under.
Yeah, over is like
wait. Hold on. You said the under 2.5 is plus 425.
Yeah.
Okay. I heard it wrong. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
they know it's gonna go to a decision. That's like the safest bet. It's one of my favorite props. It's one of my favorite props.
I mean, with women's MMA, the stats are there. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And that fight, I made sure to look at the stats for that, and I watched the Rose fight. And Rose, she's still at a high level, man. She's good. We saw her last fight, right? How she looked against what was her name?
Miranda
Maverick. Next up, we got a banger of a fight. I think when I saw this fight and I texted you over the weekend, I think I texted you right. I said our boy Amil versus Delgado is going to be a banger. I think this could be fight of the night. You got 2 dudes who are essentially undefeated, right? I think Delgado has 1 loss, but they're both 5-5 in their last 5. Hyder Amil is 11-0 and is 5-5 last, beating William Gomez via split decision, where cardio was the differentiating factor, right? As you like to say, he weaponized cardio. He pushed the pace. He's aggressive. Delgado is 9-1-0 and is 5-5 last, beating Connor Matthews via KO. Amil is undefeated. He pushes forward. He fights aggressively. He's primarily a striker and looks to get in the pocket where he thrives. Against Gomez, he looked good, but in my opinion, I do think he does have weaponized cardio, but he did kind of slow down a little bit right up against, because Gomez was also applying pressure too, right? He did slow down a little bit, but his cardio holds up pretty well. He secures takedowns. He isn't best on the ground, but he can get takedowns. He's going up against Delgado, who has range and length. He utilizes his kicks really well to maintain distance, chop you down, and then slowly creep in. He throws nice combinations. He doesn't throw the typical 1-2. He throws 4 or 5 combinations, starting at the body, finishing up at top. He attacks the body well. He has good head movement, solid grappling, but can be taken down. I think this fight, depending on what side you're on and what argument you want to give, can go either way, but I'm going to side here with Delgado. I think he's younger. He has the height advantage. He has the reach advantage. He has power. I think he should pace himself a bit and then amp up the pressure in the middle of the 2nd or 3rd round, and then not let Hyder dictate the pace. I think if he wants success here, he has to fight at his range, right? He has to fight at his pace and not let Hyder get into a groove, push the pace, be aggressive, and kind of take control of where the fight is at and how the fight is going. If he does it, it's going to be long. If he does it, it's going to be long for Hyder. So I think he should be good, man. I'm going to go with Delgado to get it done.
The under is minus 165. The over is plus 125. I'm going to go Amil. I think Amil has the toolbox to kind of get in there and neutralize this guy's power. The one thing, and we've seen it, it's like what's a power? What's a fighter when you take away their distance, right? Becomes a little bit of an issue. So Amil, going to go for the takedown. He's probably going to defend it. Going to go for the 2nd takedown. My boy going to look at the clock. He's going to breathe heavy. When you have that much power, you have fast twitch muscles. We know what happens when a guy like Amil comes in. And if you ask me, Gomez is better than Delgado. I'm sorry. I think he's a little bit more polished. That was a very competitive fight. And what Gomes did, very few fighters can do. Let's be honest with you, bro. He stood up there, like got taken down, got back up, slided, striked, and that was a unanimous decision too, right? That wasn't a split. Oh, it was a split. So it
Let
was.
me let me just remind you that Delgado trains over there with your boy Jared Cannonier, Sugar Sean O'Malley, and Mario Bautista. And if one thing we know about two of those guys, Sugar Sean, we're excluding from this. They formulate good game plans to get jobs done up against, fighters and stylistically, right? So
That's crazy.
yeah. So I'm just putting that out there because I know you're because I know you're a fan. I know you're a fan of Jared Cannonier. That's why I had to mention that he's over there. They fought on the same card. Do you remember the last card he fought on with Jared Cannonier?
Yeah, I remember. Cannonier was so like, my guy Delgado.
Because then Cannonier said one day I'm gonna be on the undercard. He's gonna be main eventing. So I think he can get it done here. But I agree with you, man. If he closes the distance and takes away the reach, it could be long. You're right.
Yeah, no. And the reach is not. Well, it is a 5 altogether, 5. So yeah, I mean, look, we're gonna see this guy's chin's tested. We're gonna see what his defense is. I just have high beliefs in Gomes. I think what Gomes was able to do against this guy was very good. And Amil just didn't give an F. He just went through. He just put the knife. He did great. I'm gonna go with Amil, bro. Don't.
Right on. You going with Amil? I'm going with Delgado. I'm not trying to convince you. I just wanted to point that out. What are you talking about? Next up we have Jack Hermansson taking on Gregory Robocop Rodrigues. Some middleweights going at it. This is our featured prelim of the night. Hermansson is 24-8-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5. Losing to Joe Pfeiffer. Did he lose to Joe Pfeiffer?
Oh yeah.
He lost to Joe Pfeiffer.
No, he won. He beat Joe Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's why I said I wrote my notes wrong.
My apologies.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So Hermansson is 24-8-0 and is 3-5 last, beating Joe Pfeiffer via unanimous decision. I knew that was wrong. I read it. I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right. Rodrigues is 16-6-0 and is 3-5 last, losing to Jared Cannonier via KO, where he was winning that fight. It looked like a scene out of the Rocky movies, man. My man came out looking like the Russian in Rocky 4 was putting a beating on Cannonier, man. Cannonier was flying across the octagon, bro, getting knocked down. And I don't know, my man saw Adrian in the apex or something, man. He saw Adrian and something came to Cannonier and he pulled it through and got it done in the third or fourth round. I forget which round he knocked him out in, but great fight, great performance. I don't think that takes anything away from Rodrigues. Hermansson, when you look at him, he's primarily known as a grappler with his striking slightly improving. He did beat Joe Pfeiffer last time out after taking a beating early on. The issue with that fight is that Joe Pfeiffer, and a lot of people criticize him for this, is his cardio, right? He put a beating on him early on and then he faded away. He got tired. He looked sluggish. And, when you do that, you kind of lose your technique, you lose your power, you lose your striking ability, right? A little bit. So Pfeiffer tired out. He was able to win via unanimous decision. You look at Rodrigues. As we mentioned in the past, he has power behind his strikes. He's big for the division. He's well-rounded. He has solid Brazilian jiu-jitsu, solid wrestling. He does have cardio concerns, as we saw in his last fight. And I think that last fight was a learning lesson for him, right? Because I think here he's going to learn to pace himself, right? He did look good in the first 2 rounds and then faded and got wrecked and lost in the 4th. This fight against Hermansson is 3 rounds. So I think we're going to see Rodrigues, get it done within 2, man. I think Rodrigues wins here.
Well, and here's the thing, right? Like, you want to look at what it would look like if Hermansson fought a fighter with power, and you have Joe Pfeiffer. The Joe Pfeiffer blueprint is exactly what it needs to be told, like how the story needs to be told. Pfeiffer comes in, fucking dominates the first round. Pfeiffer comes in, dominates the second round, but then at the last 2 minutes, my guy was a little bit tired. That's when Hermansson was able to kind of press him. Took the 5-round decision. Pfeiffer at one point was a -1,000.
Damn.
Yeah, it was crazy. But you see this fight, and I see the same qualities. But this time it's a 3-round fight. I think that is the main issue here. Is that, like, let's not get a single mistake. I picked Cannonier to beat Rodrigues, but I also knew
you were shitting bricks though. You were shitting bricks though in that first round.
Course, that guy was hitting him, and then shout out to Imavov. To me, that was a early stoppage. It was
Listen,
Imavov.
we're not talking about that, brother. Continue.
So you're going for Imavov against Kyle then, eh? Okay. I thought it was Kyle. I thought you like your boy Kyle.
I like them both, but looking at the resumes, we'll talk about it when the time comes. But I think
Yeah, we'll
Imavov
assess that later.
has fought way better opponents. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I'm gonna go with Rodriguez. I think
3 rounds, man. It's a big difference. I think he's gonna
three
pace
rounds.
himself.
It's very like this is not. Um, yeah, I remember when he fought Kelvin Gastelum, Hermansson, and he beat Kelvin, and it was the same thing. Kelvin like it was a 5 round fight. Hermansson does better in 5 round fights.
And listen, I think we talked about it before. Hermanson, if he decides to incorporate the grappling, it's gonna be a bad time for him because Rodriguez is an 8-time, world jiu-jitsu national BJJ champion, brother.
Yeah,
8 times. We talked about it before, so it's not like he's a slug on the ground. We have seen him use his grappling in the past. I think it was in his fight prior to the Jared Cannonier fight. Who
yeah,
was it up against? What's that guy's name? Fuck, I forget his name. Something Kristen Duncan, I think. Yeah, up
yeah.
against Christian Leroy Duncan, he utilized his grappling there. So I think on the feet, he's gonna have the power. He's gonna look poised. He's gonna look calm. I think he's gonna address the cardio concerns. He's not gonna, start off as hot. And one thing you learn from not being able to put somebody away is learn how to finish them. Right. I think Malta is gonna learn from that fight up against Sadikov, and I think Rodriguez is going to learn from his fight with Cannonier is you have to finish your opponent once you have him hurt. And how do you finish them? It's your movement and how you get to that position to land those shots, right? Same thing with Prates up against Ian Machado Gary, right? Arguably he was 2 shots away from winning the fight, but he just didn't have the IQ to do that, right? What did he decide to do? He decided to get on his back and, try to control him. So I think you learn from situations like that, and we're going to find out. So we're both going with Rodriguez.
Yes, sir.
We'll move on here to our featured fight of the night on the main card. We have Peyton Talbott taking on Felipe Lima. Now, this was originally supposed to be Tafa versus Diniz on the main card, and then Tafa pulled out and they dropped them and then they bumped this one up. Talbott, man, you look at these odds. He went from being a minus 1,200 in his last fight to being a plus 200 almost, plus 145 underdog. Isn't that crazy? That's just as crazy as fighting for the title, like Curtis Blades, and then fighting a UFC debutant. That's wild, man.
Yeah.
But Talbot is 9-1-0 and is 4-5 last, losing to Hayoni Barcelos via unanimous decision. Lima is 14-1-0 and is 5-5 last, beating Miles Johns via unanimous decision. When you look at Talbot, he is tall for the division. He has the length. He has knockout power. He's a solid striker. He's big. He was taken down last fight, but he was fighting a national Brazilian champion, a five-time. Do you get the reference? Who is that?
Crazy 5-time.
Who is that? Five-time. Booker T, baby. You don't watch wrestling? What's going on, brother? Oh, man, you broke my heart, man. I thought you were going to get that. I did it for nothing. I look like a fool now. But anyways, yeah, it wasn't like he was taken down for somebody who just started learning grappling. Like he was taken down by a Brazilian national champion. So everybody on X is counting him out. They're calling him a fraud. They're saying that, he doesn't have what it takes. He's going up against tough competition in Hayoni Barcelos, right? But he has his work cut out for him here. Felipe Lima is well-rounded. He's a flashy striker and grappler. He's fast, aggressive. He finds good entry points for his takedowns and sets his fights at his pace. When you look at his last fight against Miles John, and he also beat your boy Naimov. He outstruck Miles Johns and out-grappled him. Yeah, you said you like Naimov, remember? Didn't you say that? You just said that earlier.
Get easy, bro. We're gonna get nasty.
This fight, this is what I'm concerned of. Like when you take a loss like that, like Talbot, like your first loss in your career, right? What's your mindset gonna be like, right? Like how are you gonna look your next time out? Like we always talk about it. Are you gonna be gun shy? Where's your confidence level? What changes are you gonna make? How are you gonna look? But I think this fight, depending on how you look at it, it can go either way. But for me, I think Lima is going to take it. I'm going to be intrigued to see how Talbot approaches this fight, though, and where his confidence is at. But I'm going to go with Lima. I think Lima, he's watching film. He's kind of assessing, like, okay, Hayoni took him down. He had success there. I'm going to incorporate some takedowns in later in the round, early on, kind of tire him out, neutralize his power, and then just outwork him. So I think Lima gets it done here.
Like, yeah, it's crazy how we go from like a minus 1,000 Talbot to. I think the experience here goes to Lima. Has to go to Lima. If you watch Lima's past fights,
He's
Man,
fought tougher people. If you compare it to Talbot, he's fought way tougher people. Yeah.
100%. Like they're putting two prospects together so they could duke it out and see who's a little bit more advanced. And I think I'm gonna go with Jungle Boy. The reason why is that how good can you get in 5 months? I mean, I think that's a good question. How good can you get? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Talbot at the end was kind of, the one thing Barcelo lacks was striking.
Striking. Yeah. We
But
saw against Cody, right? Striking.
yeah, we saw it against Cody. Um, until he kind of tired him out a little bit, and then he had success. But I look at this fight, and I look at Lima. Lima knows how to put all the MMA tools together, like the striking, the grappling, the kicks. He did it with Miles Johns, and
Yeah.
maybe Talbot can beat Johns, uh,
Yeah.
especially because that range is nasty. But I don't know, man. I see Felipe in his face using kicks, and when I see Talbot, I'm looking at range. You feel me?
Yeah.
He's gonna like O'Malley. He's gonna try to snipe him.
That's the one thing that I'm intrigued to see is how he utilizes his range, right? Is he going to incorporate a jab early on and keep Lima from closing that distance, being flashy, right? Getting in the pocket, level changing. It's going to be very interesting. And we're going to find out, man. We're going to find out.
Also, who has Talbot been training with? Because I think he's the big guy in the camp.
Been training with Frank Ocean, brother. they've been grappling in the grass. What are you talking about?
Bro, there's a whole thing on X. So like I want to see a butt plug, something that came out, bro, about this cat, and it's just like he retweeted it.
You did not just say butt plug.
Of course, bro. Like, don't make me go to this cat's fucking stuff and look at it, bro. There's nothing wrong with that, bro. Listen, let the boys play. My guy's what? Unilateral. I don't know what my guy. I don't know. I don't care what my guy is. But
you said unilateral.
I don't care what my guy. I don't even know, bro. I don't even fucking know.
Moving on. Go.
But I'll say this, bro. Like at 20, I don't know, man. Prove me wrong. Like prove me wrong. But yeah, going back into the, I don't know. I think he's the guy at the camp. I think he's the one in the camp. There's nobody that's humbling him, and I think that's the issue.
I haven't verified this, but it says, I don't know if it says featherweight for Lima. Is he dropping or is he moving?
No, he's been no, Miles John is a bantamweight.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
unless he took that fight, because Naimov is let me see. You got me fucked up now. No, bantamweight. So I think somebody wasn't able to make weight for this fight. Okay. Yeah, I think that was the issue.
That doesn't look right. I know he's a bantamweight.
Oh, yeah, he's a bantamweight.
He's one of the like prospected bantamweights.
Yeah. I just think this fight was let me see, Fernando Flores, Naimov. Naimov is a bantamweight fighter, right? Like Naimov is he's bantamweight. Yeah, I think there was an agreement of going up in weight class or some shit like that. Right. Nathaniel Wood is a bantamweight fighter, so yeah, it is a bantamweight fighter.
So we're both going with Lima to get it done.
We're both going with Lima to get it done.
We're both going with Lima to get it done. Next up, we have a men's lightweight bout. This fight was originally supposed to happen at UFC 311, but then Arman Tsarukyan pulled out of his fight the night before, right? Was it the night before? Or was it 2 minutes? He pulled out of his fight the night before, so this fight got squashed. You insert Moicano to fight up against Islam Makhachev for the lightweight belt. But now they're running it. We have Beneil Dariush taking on Renato Moicano. Dariush is 22-6-1 and is 3-5 last, losing to Arman Tsarukyan via KO. Moicano is 26-1 and is 4-5 last, losing to Islam Makhachev via submission. Both these men are 36 years old. When you look at the side of Moicano, he is a black belt. He's very high level in jiu-jitsu. He has good technical striking, throws with volume and pace. He has, however, been dropped and has had his chin been tested. An example, the Turner fight, right? He got dropped. He was arguably knocked out. Turner thought he had a walk-off knockout. He just didn't get the job done right. He came back and he got the submission win. When you look at Dariush, he's well-rounded. He has solid striking. He has some pop behind his strikes. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. He has a slick ground game. His last two losses are to two people who who are fighting for the title right now, or who were supposed to challenge for the title in Armin Sarukian and Charles Oliveira. So it's not like his last two fights were against these complete bums, right? It's to the upper echelon of the division. So very interesting fight here. I think on the ground, I think Dariush, it's going to be very competitive on the ground, right? Who would you say is the better grappler here? The better.
I think it gets neutralized. I think when you got two guys that are very good, I don't think it goes to the ground. I think this is going to be a striking battle, and I think
Dariush is slightly the better striker with a little more power. I think Moicano is more technical, but Dariush has some power behind his strikes, man. And one of the things here, like I think last time we broke this down, I was on the side of, I don't know if I was on the side of Dariush or Moicano, I can't remember. But here I'm gonna pick Dariush. I think Moicano, prior to the Islam fight, he had like a certain fire in him, right? He was talking about how he wanted these money fights, how he wanted to take on these challenges, how he wanted to provide for his family. But he made a lot of money up against Makhachev. I think he made like 1.3 million or something like that. I think he explained how he made 1.2 million, 1.3 million. He has a son that was just born, or a son that's on the way. He has a lot going on, man. I don't know, like Dariush, he's been gone for 2 years, right? Has it been 2 years?
Yep.
He's been gone for 2 years. He fought these high-level guys. I think he's going to come back, and he's going to look like he's still in form, man. I'm not going to worry about Octagon Rust. I think he gets it done here, man. It's not like he hasn't been training. He was training for 311. He was ready to go. The fight got canceled the day before. So it's not like he was out of commission for 2 years and then got the call and was like, hey, get ready for this fight in June. He's been in fighting shape. He's been in training camp. So I think Dariush here is going to get it done, man. I'm going to go with him to win.
With Dariush too. Like I said, I like Moicano. Moicano had a very good round against the French dude, just because he went right away for the grappling, took him down, put hands on him.
Yeah.
Dariush is battle proven, same as Moicano. Especially Dariush becomes very dangerous when you hurt this guy on the feet. So yeah, I mean, Moicano has been working on his striking. I think he has very good striking now, but not as good as Dariush. And yeah, we're gonna see a I don't know, man. I think the ground game gets neglected by both, and they're gonna strike. Like, it's gonna become a kickboxing battle. So I'm gonna go with Dariush. I think he takes it. I think this is a very good bet, and like, even that Oliveira fight, there was a moment in that Oliveira fight where Dariush had an edge on Oliveira. Oliveira was just able to switch it up and get out of there. But because we know that Charles gets into these bad positions and comes out of it. Let's be honest with it. Gaethje, Dustin, So Dariush gets it done.
Yeah, and you look at Dariush's resume, man. He looked good up against Mateus Gamrot, Tony Ferguson, right? Diego Ferreira. Yeah, man. He's fought some good competition. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I think Dariush gets it done here. I'm not I think Dariush gets it done. Close fight though. It's gonna be entertaining. But it's interesting that you say, like, we've seen it in the past when you have two people who have solid grappling or solid Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they engage in the striking, right? It's sometimes strikers engage in the grappling. So it's going to be interesting. I want to see how this fight is approached.
What's the wrestler that lost the other day? What's his name?
The wrestler that lost on last card?
Riddler. That lost against Riddler.
Bo Nickel, your boy Bo Nickel.
A great example of that, right? Like, gets neglected, can't take him down, goes to striking. But that's different, right? But at the same time, is it though? I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. But
all right. We're both going with Dariush to get it done. Next up, we have Brandon Royval, who was originally supposed to take on Manel Kape. Manel Kape pulled out from another fight. He had a foot injury, I believe. In comes in Joshua Van, who just fought 2 months ago, right? Was it at UFC 314? I think it was UFC 314. He's been slotted in here. Royval is 17-7-0 and is 4-5. Last beating Tatsuro Taira via split decision. Van is 14-2-0 and is 4-5. Last beating Bruno Silva via knockout. What you got here, man? What you think?
That's crazy. Van versus Royval. I wanted you to start because you're gonna go with Van. I should technically go with
okay.
Van.
I'll start. Okay. This is interesting, right? Because Van cracked the top 10. Was it the top 10 or top 15? I think it was the top 10. He cracked the top 15, and then he was in top 12, I think, or top 10. And now he's fighting up against the number 1 ranked guy in the division. That's a significant jump, man. Like I don't care how you look at it, how you cut it. That's a significant jump in
11,
competition.
11,
He was
11.
11. Now from 11 to the number one, I would have loved to see him go up against a Alex Perez,
Azul,
maybe Alex
Azul
Perez
Perez,
or
Ira.
Kaya Sakura, any one of those guys. What's the other guy? Abazi, any of those guys, right? Prior to getting a top five and then a shot at the title, but you know, you look at Royval, right? Let's start with Royval. He last beat Tatsuro Taira where he was the underdog. A lot of people doubted him in that fight. A lot of people thought that Tatsuro Taira, with his body locks, his grappling, was going to be able to dominate him, control him. But he had some decent scrambles, some decent takedown defense in that fight, and he just outworked and outclassed him. And the experience showed in that 5-round fight, right? He was able to pull away in the later rounds where Tatsuro Taira looked a little tired. Royval doesn't have power necessarily, but he is fast and is good on the feet and on the ground. He's always in scrambles and always looks for finishes. He always looks for submissions. He's always trying up submission attempts. He has been dropped, but the thing I love about Royval is that he has good IQ and quick recovery, right? We've seen, Kai Kara France, we've seen Matt Schnell. They've all touched him and dropped him, right? Whereas he was able to recover quickly and lock in submissions. So it's going to be interesting, this fight, man. You look at someone like Joshua Van, he is coming in on short notice. That is a concern, but it's not like he took a lot of damage in his last fight, right? It's not like he took an overwhelming amount of damage, but since his KO loss to Charles Johnson, he's been on quite the run. He's fought a diverse style of opponents, in my opinion. He's fought wrestlers, boxers, shoot-to-box fighters, and he's answered everyone's questions regarding his confidence, his takedown defense, and his boxing technique, right? The only thing I would like to see from Van, and this is something that I made a mental note of when I was watching him up against Silva, is I would really love to see him incorporate like a teep, because the teep, if you equate like in boxing, it's kind of like a jab, right? It's kind of like a jab for your feet. So if he was to incorporate a leg game, like incorporate some teeps and then attack the calf, I think he'd be really well rounded. He'd be really good, right? Because then that will set up his combination, because people will be expecting that, that kick to the lower body or the leg. So that's one thing I would like to see him, is incorporate the teep or incorporate some leg kicks. But this is tough to call, man. But concerns on the Royval side is that he has been touched in the past. He has been dropped. And as you mentioned, and I think you're going to mention it here, he's had issues in camp. He's had 2 concussions, right? The past 2 months. That's caused him to have his fights rebooked. So, concussion protocol, I'll let you take over that when it's your turn. But yeah, I think Van's going to be successful here, man. 3-round fight. I think we're going to see him not make the errors that Kai Kara France and Schnell made. I think he's going to touch Royval, maybe drop him, maybe hurt him, but I don't think he's going to be quick to go to the ground and, make those mistakes of getting caught up in a submission. I think he's going to be smart here. So I'm hoping Van gets it done, man. I'm pulling for Van. I'm a fan of Van.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep it simple, bro. I'm going to keep it very simple. Royval, the number 1 in the division, beat Moreno, like outclassed Moreno.
Mm-hmm.
Beat Taira, all split the bro, but it was impressive.
Good IQ, man. He has really good IQ.
Very good IQ. And here's what I'm comparing with. Charles Johnson gave him difficulty because of the range, right? It's Royval's a good striker, and what I call, like, I see Royval and I see a Corey Sandhagen, I see a TJ Dillashaw, I see one of these guys that is very different.
Okay.
Van is good, but I think it's too soon. I'm going to go with Royval. I would have gone with Van, but I just think it's too soon. Now, let's open up the concussion. This Manel Cape was supposed to fight Royval. Manel Cape, what do you call it? Royval ends up getting concussed. Azu steps in. They scheduled the fight later for another time. When was this fight? Let me just check 1 second, because I want to see when this fight was damn, I wish they kind of put it. Okay, if I go to Taira, okay, here it is. So March and then June 28th. Wow, June 28th is right there, right? It's actually insane. I think he's recovered, man. Like if March, April, May, June, 4 months, I think he's recovered, man. I think I'm gonna go with Royval, man. Royval's gonna be a little bit too much for him.
Yeah, the only thing, the one other thing I'm concerned of is the size, right? He has a 4-inch height advantage, a 5-inch reach advantage, and when it goes to the ground, we have seen Van have good takedown defense and a good get up game, but if Royval is able to have him on the ground and contain him for a while, control him, he is long on the ground, right? And when you're long on the ground, it becomes long, it becomes tough, right? A lot more sleeker. The scrambles become a little more difficult. Yeah, that's another concern that I have, but I agree with you, man. I mean, it's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be a good fight, regardless. I just don't think we're gonna see how good Van is. We're gonna really, because the thing is, if Van is able to kind of come out and just blast this guy, and
I don't think he's gonna blast them, but I think it's gonna be a competitive fight. You know, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be very interesting.
I'm looking
very,
at
very
the right now, and like I'm excited. I'm very excited, and like
I like now. I don't know what the odds are, but I'm just looking at the screen here. It says plus 100 for Van. I like that value. When it comes to value, I like that Van is the underdog because I think he opened up as a favorite, right? Like I think it was like a minus. I don't even know what the odds were when at opening, but Van was the favorite, and that's crazy up against somebody like Brandon Royval, who's been at the top of the division for a long time. What are we doing? All right? Are you finding that out right now?
Yeah, I was trying to kind of look for it, but I know he was a very big favorite in his last fight. But then
this fight, when it got announced, he was the favorite. He opened as the favorite.
Yeah, because he just stunned Silva.
Exactly,
But
it's the recency bias.
Manel Cape also stunned Silva, so it goes into show like
Manel Cape also got caught with pads though, bro.
Yeah, well, I mean, Manel's been in and out, right? Manel's been in and out. And Manel, we like Manel, but this fight is just a different.
I'm gonna have to write. I like Royval. I chose him as the underdog against Tatsuro Taira because Tatsuro Taira, he was one-dimensional in the sense that he has good body locks, he has good grappling, but he doesn't necessarily have the striking to go with it, right? And I thought that Royval is more well-rounded than Taira, right? And that's why when he was the dog, I was like, okay, this is really good value on somebody like Royval who's more well-rounded, who's has the championship experience. It is a 5-round fight. It's gonna break away in the last 2 rounds, right?
Yeah,
this is a 3-round fight, and it's not like Joshua Van is some slob, right, or some guy who's given the shot. Like he's worked his way up there, right? Maybe you can argue that it's a little too soon, right? 11-1, yeah, it's a little too soon, but we've been covering Van for some time, right? Since that knockout from Charles Johnson, since we started recording, right? We've been on Van, and time and time again, he's answered every question. And what are the concerns that people are going to have for him going against Royval? Is it the takedown defense? Because that's already been answered. Is it the cardio?
He's facing the number one guy. He's facing the number one guy.
Facing that, but that's one thing, number one guy. But in terms of fighting, what's the real concern that people have?
Reach. I think it's going to be the reach. Like if you, that's the only thing that I would have picked Van. If you put Manel Cape and Van, I would have gone for Van, right? But Royval with that reach, like I said, it's proven to be a new challenge, right? So, yeah, man, it's gonna be a great battle. Like,
I gotta see the reach of the other guy.
I'm not gonna bet in this fight. I'm simply going to enjoy it as a fight fan.
I just can't go again. I mean, I like both of them, bro. I'm a fan of both of them, but at value plus 100, I'm gonna have to be a little degenerate.
My guy, and he's faced, and like we don't know. Like I said, maybe somebody has an injury, maybe somebody, like let's see. It's also a decade, or close to a decade difference.
Yeah, but this is when legends are. This is where legends are made, man. Joshua Van coming in on short notice, right? You get an opportunity like this, you don't turn it down. We'll see what he's made of. Whether he wins or loses, it doesn't take anything away from him. I still like him as a prospect, and we'll see what happens this weekend. But you're gonna go with Royval. I'm gonna go with Van. Close fight, competitive fight. Gonna be a banger. We'll see what happens. We'll move on to our co-main event. We have Alexandre Pantoja. Pantoja or Pantoja? How do you say it? Pantoja? Early on in his career, they would say Pantoja, and then out of nowhere, people started saying Pantoja. So what is it?
Yeah, it's Pantoja.
Okay. Pantoja taking on Kai Kara France. Now Pantoja is 29-5-0 and is 5-5 last, beating Kai Asakura via submission. This guy has beat everybody in the top 5 that they had to bring somebody from Japan to face him, brother. Like, how good is Pantoja, right? This is his 4th time defending his belt. He's going up against Kai Kara France, who is 22-11-0 and is 3-5 last, beating Steve Ercik via knockout. Pantoja, as I mentioned, is his 4th title defense. He has solid striking. He moves forward. He uses his striking to set up his takedowns, where he is comfortable and he thrives on the ground. He controls you. He works. He looks for submissions. He's pretty dominant in that regard. He's going up against Kai Kara France, who's a solid boxer with good technique. He has the speed, he has the power and the output. His takedown is amongst the best in the division. A lot of people who been following the sport or following their careers know that this is a rematch from their time in the Ultimate Fighter, right? The season of champions. And in that, since that fight, I think that fight was 3 years ago or 5 years ago. What did I tell you? 3 years ago, 5 years ago? I think it was 5 years ago, 3 years ago. One of those years.
For what, Kai and
the Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, that was a while. That was.
How many years ago was that? Am I tripping? Did I say 5? I think it was way longer, right?
7. Let me see. Ultimate Fighter, tough, flyweight.
Season. You could just look at. You have topology right there.
The 33rd, tough 33. No, this was May.
I'm tripping. Let me see. I'll find it right now. I got it.
Yeah, I'm getting it right.
2016. I'm sorry. This is 2006. This was 9 years ago. Wow. I said 5 years ago. I'm tripping.
No, but that's how I was like thinking. I was like,
yeah, 9 years ago. I apologize for that, guys. And that fight, though, if you watch that fight, though, they both evolved since then, right? But that fight is, in my opinion, going to be similar to how this fight's going to go, right? Pantoja's going to shoot for takedowns. In that fight, Pantoja wasn't as successful in getting the takedowns, and his striking wasn't as polished and as technical as it is now, right? He was striking kind of sloppy. His entry points weren't the best, but he did get those takedowns. He was dominant in that season. I think Pantoja is going to neutralize Kai Kara France's power and striking and take him down and grind out a win here. I think Pantoja is just too good, man. I'm going to go Pantoja to retain and still.
I think, we're going to go with Pantoja, bro. Like, to beat these guys, but what Pantoja has done, like, look, like Killer, Steve Erskine. Steve Erskine gave him the toughest shot. I put a tweet out about this, and it was like 8 months ago, about Kai Kara France was complaining that he should be next in line. Why? You literally, at that time, he's coming from the Obalzi fight, and then Moreno kind of like liver kick it to the ground strike. That was for the interim belt. Fought some okay guys, not bad, but yeah, like I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with Pantoja. I think this is a situation where Pantoja wanted to be active, and they're looking like who's next in line, and they're looking at the top one, and they're saying, and like we go to the division and we say, okay, well, we can't put Royval because Pantoja already beat Royval. We can't put Moreno because he's beat him 2 times or 3 times. 3 times. He beat Moreno 3 times. Only 2 tough. So tough.
It was the first fight, yeah. It was the first
tough.
fight.
He beat him in coming up to the UFC flyweight when they were ranked or unranked. And then he beat him as champion. You have Amir Abbasi. How do you give, bro? This is a flop by the UFC. Like, this is where MMA media does it. Like, you just put him above. Like, come on, what are we doing here? Then you got this. This is where France kicks in. Kai Kara France. And again, if Tyra would have beat Royval, Tyra would have gotten the title shot.
Yeah, of course.
In all honesty here.
Of course. I agree. They would have given to him.
Yeah, no, and it's great. It's good. I'm gonna go with Pantoja, bro. If you're just relying on KOing this guy, it's going to be a little bit of an issue because this guy is superior. Now, when we look at the odds, champ, they got him at a minus 260. So people are betting in a way. Favorite is Pantoja, but I don't know. I feel people are leaning towards Kai Kara France. They're thinking
it's the Australians, bro. They want the JDM, Volk, and Kai Kara France. They want that pay-per-view, man.
Well, my guy is going to strike. And the thing is, Pantoja is very disciplined with his takedowns and everything.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to mix it up. He didn't play with fire against the Japanese dude. He's not going to play with fire against this guy.
Yeah, that's true. The Japanese dude was coming down too. He was fighting normally at a higher weight too. That was a weird fight. Weird fight. We'll talk about later on. Like in the future, we're going to talk about that. That was a weird fight that he just came into the UFC, got a title shot, and then who knows what happens with that guy, man.
Because his fan base, I think the issue is like it was his
fan base, and then who's he gonna fight? Who's Pantoja's gonna fight? Like that's the issue in the flyweight division. That's why Van's getting this shot because they want new blood up there in the top 5 to challenge. Next up, though, we have our main event. We have Charles Oliveira taking on your boy Ilya Topuria for the vacant lightweight title. Islam Makhachev has decided to move up to welterweight, right? He was forced, in my opinion, you know what I think? This is where I think egos come in place, right? Like, I think he was stripped, right? He had to vacate because I think Topuria refused to fight for an interim belt. He's like, no, I want to fight for the title. You guys promised me that. Give me that, right? And therefore, I told him like, hey, if Bilal loses, you're moving up, but you're gonna have to vacate. So it is what it is. Topuria is 16-0 and is 5-5 last beating Max Holloway via KO at UFC 308. Oliveira is 35-10-0 and is 3-5 last beating Michael Chandler via unanimous decision. Now, Charles Oliveira, ever since his loss to Paul Felder in 2017, right, where he lost via ground and pound, he went on this run. He went on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, where he won the title, 10, 11 fight win streak up until when he lost it to Islam Makhachev. You know, people had him labeled a quitter. They had him labeled as somebody who, you know, didn't have the desire to continue fights, didn't have it in him, and he turned it around, right? He's a fan favorite. He's loved. He's big for the division. He's a lot bigger than Ilya Topuria. He's a fan favorite, as I mentioned. He has the most submission wins in the division. He's got good striking. However, he is chinny. He does get touched. He has been dropped. To put it as simple as that, Michael Chandler touched him and dropped him in both fights. Poirier was able to drop him. Gaethje was able to drop him. Charles Oliveira is going to be big, and that's my only concern here. I want to see how they look at the side, like, because Charles Oliveira, if you look at his frame, he has a big back, right? Like, he has a wide back. That's why he's so good on the ground, right? He's so good on the ground, and his striking's not bad. When you look at Ilya Topuria, as we mentioned, he's moving up from 145 up to 155. He initially started his career in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? But he fell in love with the boxing. So, like, it's not like this guy's a scrub when it comes to the ground, when it comes to grappling. He has that Georgian background, right? That Georgian nationality. He has that Greco-Roman wrestling. He has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that Spaniard Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has exceptional boxing where he attacks the body well, throws not your normal 1-2 combination, but he has that 4 to 5 combination where he starts at he rips to the body, then he rips to the head. Man, I really like his striking. He moves forward. He kind of gets his reads in, and then he heats up as the fight progresses. He has good takedowns and solid grappling. He has fought at 155 before. We saw him fight against Jai Herbert, right? In the past, Jai Herbert was able to land that head kick. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to talk about this. Oh, Ilya Topuria has struggled at 155 before he got dropped, but he ended up winning that fight, right? What happened in that fight? He pulled it together. He got through, and that was early in his career. I think this is going to be an interesting fight, right? One, we're going to see how his power looks at 155, Ilya Topuria, how his movement looks, and how is he going to look in that octagon with a bigger fighter? Because Charles Oliveira is going to weigh in at 155, but he's going to come in at 170, 180, man, on night of the fight. He's going to be big, and he's taller. He has like a 6-inch reach advantage, height advantage. I mean, he's like 5'11", almost 6 feet.
Bro, it's an issue, bro.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Ilya Topuria. I think Ilya Topuria is going to be able to find the chin of Charles Oliveira, utilize his takedown defense really well to not have this fight taken to the ground. I think he's going to get it done here, man. But at a minus 500, it's kind of disrespectful.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Oliveira.
Wow.
I wasn't.
Wow.
Like, the odds start to shift a little bit more, and like we are not respecting this guy. And the one thing, and DP Dustin says the best, this guy hits hard. MMA math doesn't really always work. Never.
But Dustin also said, you know, Ilya Topuria hits people, and Charles likes to get hit.
Yeah, and like let's see, but I don't know, man. I think here's where I'm gonna play, and I'm the guy that picked Michael Chandler because he was.
I picked Michael Chandler too, but listen, Michael Chandler landed those crazy overhand rights that hurt Oliveira. Do you think Michael Chandler's boxing technique and his striking is as technical and composed as that of Ilya Topuria?
That was 4 years ago.
It was in November in the 5th round.
Was those overhand? Yeah, but
it's in November in the 5th round. This was a few months ago, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, the fifth round he's tired, man. Like Topuria's never stepped into a fifth round either. Um, I look at this fight and I say, I tell myself, how has Charles gotten better? And I look at the range, like bro, like trust me. If here's the thing about it, if you give me Ilya Topuria at a -200, I probably go with Topuria. But I look at the odds and I see the disrespect, and I
But
and I
you can't base it solely on the
and we
odds.
always talk about this.
Yeah,
So
you
this
can't.
is why then I further analyze and I look at the reach. I look at like the reach is such an issue. What he was able to do to Michael Chandler, keep him at bay, strike him with the kick, bro, it was poetic. Um, it's a very different fighter, and I don't know, man. Like I'm going with Oliveira. I just like the range. I know it's crazy. It is, but this is a Ilya's going for his first lightweight championship. Was going
How do you think Oliveira wins? What do you think his path to victory is? Like, do you
range
think?
and takes him down. Range and takes him down. Oliveira, like Topuria's never fought. Okay, Topuria's fought a guy with good jujitsu, but not good striking. When he fought Ryan Hall didn't have striking, and Topuria was able to.
Wait, you're saying Topuria hasn't fought somebody with good striking?
No, good jujitsu, like good
Oh,
kind of because Ryan Hall and him fought, and Ryan Hall just wanted to grapple him, but Topuria like had the ability to not get taken down, right, and just smash him, and it was just insane. But prior to that, like if we look at Topuria's striking, like I mean, Bryce Mitchell was pretty good, I have to say, but Bryce Mitchell's not. It's not Oliveira. Oliveira's very good on the ground. Bryce Mitchell also doesn't have striking. Let's be honest, you champ. We are facing a guy that poses a threat to this guy.
that's why I started. That's why I opened it up with Ilya Topuria started off his career in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like he has a solid grappling base and a solid ground game. Like we don't see it often because he's knocking people out, but I mean, he does have solid takedowns. We have seen him taking people down. We have seen him getting takedown, but we have seen him get up really quick as well. He has a good get up game. So it's going to be interesting, this fight. I think for me, as you mentioned, is the reach is an issue, and then the size, because Oliveira is going to be big, and I want to see how they're going to look in the octagon. But I think Topuria, man, 16-0. He's knocked out Alex Volkanovski. He's knocked out Max Holloway. Max Holloway had reach. He's taller.
Yeah,
but good striker. He's a better striker than Charles Oliveira, and it didn't work out for him.
But Holloway should have never gone back to featherweight.
Yeah, but still, aside from that, he had the range, he had the striking, and Topuria was still able to close the distance, right, and put him away for the first time in his career, which is
impressive. But I still kind of I counter with that, and I just like the Oliveira that fought, like the Oliveira that fought Chandler the first time. I was like, man, my boy's getting hit, because he was getting hit early, right? And then amongst all these fights, it's the same thing. But you look at a more refined, and he just got better. He's just understanding. I'm basing it on the range, and I'm also basing on, like you said, size.
Yeah, for me, it's the size. I'm not worried about the range because I'm not too confident in his strike. Like I don't think his strike is gonna match with Topuria's, but the size is what I'm worried about. The size.
When I knew it was an issue, what Chichiwi. When I saw Chichiwi next to Topuria, I'm like, brother, like
a lot of those photos are edited too, bro. Somebody edited to make him look smaller, bro. I think the original's out there. He's not that small.
Can we get that? Because
listen, they were the same height, weren't they, in that photo?
No, Chiwiwi's bigger. Is taller.
Yeah, Chiwiwi's is Charles Oliveira's height. He's 5'9", 5'10". So of course he's bigger. I think Topuria's what, tapped in at 5'7". He's probably 5'6", 5'7".
Look at this. This is what I'm watching here, right? Like this is.
Yeah, it's not that big of a difference. But he's 5'9", bro. People aren't looking at that. Chiwiwi's is 5'9". See, you probably saw the edited one where they put him like at his shoulder, bro. When they put him, my boy got duped by AI. But that's the photo there. He's not that much shorter. He's like 3 inches shorter than Oliveira.
Yeah, but the range is there. Like Topuria actually has more range than Chiwiwi, if you can see right here.
Yeah,
Even
but
though he has,
Chihuahuas is big. He's 5'9" for bantam.
yeah, but no, but his length. Like, look at his length. He has a
Yeah.
better range. I don't know, man. Like, I'm gonna avoid betting on this fight. I like I said, like I want to see who the better fighter is. Like for this one, I'm going Oliveira. Um, I might throw a little, cash money on Oliveira money line. Um, Oliveira has shown time and time again that he can get hit. He's gotten hit by Makhachev. Got dropped by Makhachev. Got dropped by Chandler. Got dropped by Gaethje, but it still gets up. Like, what is driving
But
this?
those guys also followed him to the ground too. You know.
And like I think Topuria is going to be a little bit different, and that's when if Charles starts to keep him at distance, strike with him, grapple with him, bro. Like we have a potentially a Conor McGregor situation here. I want to be 100 with you. Like we have a Conor McGregor situation here, and
You think this is his Nate Diaz?
it might be like that's what I'm saying. Like
Nate Diaz was a welterweight, bro. Coming there, he McGregor. That fight was at 170, right? Or was it 165?
170,
It
170.
was 170, right? Yeah.
But
So that's a
but
little different. But I see what you mean. I see
but
the parallels.
sometimes you find a guy that is just a little bit that's going to give you trouble. It doesn't have to be that better than you. Just going to give you trouble. Topuria has good conditioning, but we haven't seen him at 155 with this new mass.
And
Like,
then to add though that McGregor reference, that was 11 days notice, 170.
but it happened again in the rematch.
But in the rematch though, McGregor was a lot better, right? And his game plan was a lot better.
Yeah,
He won though. He won.
He tried to get him out of there. Like there's so many questions to be answered. Like how much power does Topuria transfer? It's going to transfer more power, but then you are giving out conditioning. And what is going to be your pace against Charles? Because, bro, Charles is a bad man. Anybody could win here. Like I would favor Topuria, but I don't know, man. There's something in the water.
He has an ego, man. I could see Topuria, shooting for a takedown early, bro, to get his mind on it, to get Oliveira thinking about the takedowns and then switching. Because he did that against Max Holloway. Remember, he just took him down randomly in the second round. He picked him up and dropped him, and then he just stuck to the striking. I don't know. I think I'm going to be intrigued to see the embedded and see what kind of training footage they're showing from Topuria. Because if it's all striking based, then that leads me to believe, okay, what are they leaving out, right? Because he probably has a game plan that he's not showing us.
I think at this point he understands. He's making a lot of money.
Yeah,
he has multiple things that could like threaten Charles, and the biggest thing is the power in the chin. Like let's not mistake in that. But what I'm betting on here is that maybe Charles uses his striking from afar, which he's gotten better at, right? The refined cross, a refined jab. He knows how to fight tall. That's the thing. He knows how to fight a guy with reach, but Topuria knows how to get inside a fighter. And this is interesting because Topuria at this point, Topuria doesn't give a fuck about being light heavyweight champ, like lightweight champ. He gives a fuck about going after Islam. And that's like
you can't go after him if he doesn't get a win. So he knows how important this is too. You can't say that.
No, but he was talking about going after. He's talking about going after welterweight. It's like
but that should also tell you how confident he is in beating Charles Oliveira. He's like, I'm already thinking of what's next. I already know I'm going to beat this guy. He said like this guy lost 10 times. He let 10 people finish him. Like Makhachev says, what is this, brother? 10 times you let guy beat you. What is this?
Thanks. That's crazy. Don't do my guy like that.
That's what Makhachev said, bro. I'm just quoting Makhachev.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, it takes a while to get good. Like,
bro, look at that. But to argue that, like, he has been around for a while, man. I mean, 2007, UFC since 2010, bro. I was still in high school in 2010. Jim Miller, Donald Cerrone, Cub Swanson touched him up. Frankie Edgar. Damn, Max Holloway.
He was still developing, and that's the thing. He was facing killers while he was still developing. Like, and this is insane. And then you don't remember this one, but he fought Holloway, and there was a strike that paralyzed him. He went to the ground, couldn't get up.
That's what they use when they call him a quitter, because he's sitting there in the corner holding his shoulder, bro. I remember that.
That's crazy. That's insane. And then Pettis, this was actually insane. This was for the number one
Look how many submission losses he has, man. Granted, those were like 8 years ago, but I mean, what are the odds for Topuria via submission?
Maybe it hasn't come out yet, but maybe that's a problem.
How crazy would it be if Topuria drops him and then takes that back, man, gets a guillotine, gets a rear naked choke, I mean, or gets a front guillotine? What do you think?
That's nasty. If that happens that way, Mr. Nasty.
Ilia Topuria is that type of guy, though, man. Like when he says stuff, you have to kind of believe it, man, because he backs it up. You know, he told Max Holloway, "I'm gonna point to the center of the octagon in the fight." What did he do? Bring your ass. Bring your ass.
My guys on the stuff. Like I said, like I just don't like how people are discrediting.
No, I think in terms of value, yeah, plus 320, everybody's gonna throw money in that. That line's gonna close in. You're gonna see because a lot of money's gonna come in on Oliveira, especially as a dog.
Right now, okay, so
I agree with you. A lot of people are gonna pick Topuria, but they're gonna throw money on Oliveira.
Yeah, because it's a striker's chance. Let's be honest with you. It can happen, and he's gotten clipped before. He's gotten both fighters here, like both. But who's the more prepared, right? And that's what we're kind of talking about. Topuria was in the PI already, was fine tuning.
He was in Vegas already.
My boy Oliveira was in Brazil.
Yep.
So yeah, it's gonna be a fun card. I'm going with the big what if. That's really what I'm going with.
But gambling, brothers, degeneracy and its value. We always talk about value, right? Plus 320 for an individual who's fought at lightweight. He's held the title. He's fought tough competition. He's fought bigger men than Ilia Topuria, right? Powerful men. And Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, right? Like he's fought all these guys and he's finished them. So we're gonna learn a lot. We're gonna see a lot. It's gonna be an exciting fight. You're going with Charles Oliveira. I'm going with Ilia Topuria.
Look at this, bro. Look at this.
And we're gonna have a new champion, man. That's a lot of fans. By KO, I don't know, man. We'll see. I gotta look at the odds. I don't even look at the. Topology.
No, I know, but I want to see what the community.
Didn't Topology have Hill winning too? Topology had Hill winning, right? Didn't they?
They probably did. They probably had Hill winning.
But anyways, we're nearing 2 hours, yo. There you have it. That is our full fight recap. Make sure you show some love. Make sure you hit the like. You hit the subscribe. Look at the timestamps if you want to hear or listen to a specific fight. We do drop our picks on X. Make sure you follow us at Combat Sport, guys. We will be live for the card. We will be dropping some live bets. We're always interacting. We're always here every week. We'll be back next week to talk about UFC. I believe it's St. Louis, right? St. Louis. We have Derek Lewis up against Taliesin Teixeira. Make sure you show some love, guys. Any parting words, my man?
Nah, take it home. It's going to be a great fight.
And then I have one thing for you, brother.
What are you
gonna do? What are you gonna do when you hear this song? Wait for it. What are you gonna do when you hear this song and then you start thinking about your pick and you're like, man, am I crazy?
Who's that? Remember me again? Oh, is that Topuria? Let's go. That's why I'm not betting. I'm probably not betting on this fight.
Bro, when you hear that song, brother.
The Spaniard, bro. We gotta the Georgian.
The Georgian Spaniard, right? But anyways, guys, there you have it. Make sure you love what you love, do what you do. We'll be back. We are Combat Sport, guys. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for the follows. Thank you guys for interacting with us on X. We will drop our picks on Wednesday. We will drop our bets on Friday. I hope we try to get them out sooner to you. We're gonna get them out sooner to you. I'm gonna put them out. We'll see. Much love. I'm Roy, accompanied by Sergio. We'll see y'all later. All right. Peace.
Later.